Welcome
Deep
back, everybody,
Divers.
for another
Ready to
deep
dive into a
dive.
Miss Universe puzzle.
Today we're going to be talking about the Miss Universe
a real head
competition.
scratcher.
Oh, cool.
It's about Chelsea Manalo at the 2024 competition.
specifically.
Everyone
We're gonna
thought
be
she
looking
was
at
a
the Q&A
shoo-in, a total
portion.
front runner.
Where all these
But then she
contestants
doesn't even
really
make
got
the
to
top
use their
12. What
platform to
happened?
share their
It's
worldviews.
interesting, isn't it? Because
Interesting.
if you
And
look
kind
at
of
the bigger
messages
picture,
that they wanted
Chelsea's
to,
story actually
send
kind of
out to
shows
the
how
world.
pageantry
I
has
see.
And
changed.
the source
How
material
so?
that
Well,
we have for that today
she was
comes from an
praised for those
article
preliminary
highlighting
rounds, like, you know, the
key
swimsuit and
moments.
evening
Gotcha.
gown,
So we're
but
not
also
just
for her
looking at who
advocacy
won,
work.
but we're
Makes you
looking
think,
at
doesn't
what
it?
they
Like
had to
maybe
say.
what
Exactly.
audiences
That's
and
really
even
cool. Yeah, it's
judges
so
are
interesting
looking
to kinda
for in a Miss Universe
get
is
beyond the
shifting.
glitz
Exactly.
and
So, okay,
really
before we
see
jump
what
into
these
the
women
why
stand
of it
for.
all,
Yeah, I think
can
it's
you
really
paint us a
interesting to
picture
get
of what the
glimpse
competition was
into,
actually
you know,
like?
what they
Sure.
value,
Miss Universe
their
2024 is in
aspirations,
Mexico
the
City,
kind of
right?
impact that they want to
And
make. I
get
think it's a
this,
really unique
a
opportunity.
record-breaking
Absolutely. And we're
130
specifically
contestants.
Whoa,
going to be focusing on the
130.
final question.
Fierce
that was
competition
posed
doesn't even begin to
to the top
describe
five
it.
Oh,
contestants.
kidding. Our sources really
Miss
stressed
Nigeria,
how tough it was this
Miss
year. You have to
Mexico,
wonder if just the
Miss
sheer number of
Thailand,
competitors
Miss
played a
Denmark,
part, you
and
know?
Miss Venezuela.
Oh, absolutely. The first source
So a
points
good
to that intensity
global
as a major factor.
representation.
Yes,
Imagine
representing all
trying to
different
stand
corners of
out
the
with
globe.
129 other
and the question
amazing
was,
women all
this
wanting the same
universe
thing.
Right.
has
Okay,
inspired
so
generations
super
of women.
tough competition. Anything else in
What
the
is your
mix?
message?
Well, the
to
source
ones
suggests
watching
the
you right
judging
now?
criteria themselves, right?
Right.
Like, we don't know the exact
that's a tough
scores,
one.
It is
but
a
it's
tough
totally
one.
It's not just
possible
about
others
like
just
being
barely beat her
clever
out in
or
certain
witty.
areas,
It's
even if
really
she
about
aced
connecting
others.
with people.
And the
Can you break
answers
that
were
down a
so
bit?
varied.
For those
Right.
of us
And we
who
had
aren't,
some that
you know,
zeroed in on
Miss
personal
Universe
resilience.
judges
Yeah.
ourselves.
Others
Of course.
tackled really
Think about it.
important
The
social
judges
issues.
look at so
Some
many things
really
across all those
emphasize
rounds.
The
strength that you
Swimsuit.
can find
It's
in
about
hope
physical
and belief.
fitness, how you
That's
command
so
the stage.
cool.
It was really
Evening
amazing to see
gown,
how
that's
different all the
elegance and
answers
poise.
were.
What
Then
I think
the
is so
interviews,
cool about that
that's
is it
all about
shows that there's
smarts,
no cookie
being
cutter
well-spoken,
mold
and your
for
opinions.
Miss Universe anymore.
so
It's
even
really
if
about
Chelsea
these
was
individual
phenomenal,
women
say, in the
Exactly.
interview,
and their unique
someone
voices
else could
and
have edged her out with
experiences, which
swimwear
makes
or
it so
evening gown.
compelling because
Exactly.
you really get to
And you
see
can't
this
forget the
range of
subjective parts,
perspective.
too.
Exactly.
Like you start to think about what
Stage
truly
presence,
resonates
that
with
connection
you.
with the judges, those
for
things
sure.
you can't really
And
measure.
ultimately,
they
the
matter a
crown
lot,
went
too.
to
It's funny how
Miss
those
Denmark,
little things
Victoria
can tip the
Kajir
scales.
Telvik.
Right.
And her answer was
Okay,
all
speaking of
about rising
perceptions,
above challenges,
what was the
believing in
fan
yourself.
reaction when
Yeah.
Chelsea
And
didn't
making
make the
history.
top 12?
Cool.
She talked about
The
how
first
your
source,
past doesn't define
it describes it as
and how you
mixed
can
emotions,
turn any obstacle into a source of
disappointment,
strength.
for
Wow.
sure. Lots
That
of people
really
were rooting
resonated
for
with
her.
the judges.
Yeah, I think
But
that's a message
also,
that speaks volumes.
tons of
It's about
support
taking
praising
control
her
of your own
grace,
story.
how she
It's
handled
about
it all.
recognizing that
really seems to
no
have
matter
struck
your
a chord with
background,
people.
Right.
Can we dig
you
into
have
that
the
more?
power to
Absolutely.
shape your own destiny.
Chelsea, she put out this
Yes.
What I
post on
thought was
social
really
media
interesting was how
after
she
the
tied
competition
this
was really
personal
beautiful.
message
She made
to
it clear
making
that the
history.
crown
Yes.
wasn't
You
the
know,
whole
she's
point of
not
her
just
journey,
talking
that
about
she wanted to use
overcoming
her
personal
platform for
obstacles, but
causes she
using those
believes in.
experiences
Which is a
to
message
make
bigger
real
than any
difference. So it's
pageant.
like
Right.
connecting
But the source
individual
mentions some
journey to a
speculation,
larger
too.
purpose.
Yeah, some
Such
folks
a
trying to
good
figure out
point.
what
It's
might
not
have
just about
happened breaking down her
overcoming personal
performance.
obstacles. It's about
And that leads us to our second source.
You know,
They
leaving your
focus on
mark
all
on the
that
world.
online
Yeah.
talk,
and really
specifically around the
impacting others.
swimsuit round.
Exactly.
Yeah,
This is
but
where it
let's not
gets a
get ahead
little
of ourselves.
Okay.
Spicy.
We need to talk
Well,
about
the
some of
second
the other
source said,
incredible
her
answers.
swimsuit portion,
From the final five,
especially her walk,
Miss
the
Nigeria,
passerella, they call
Chidima,
it, that became a
Adicina,
target for a lot of
shared
online
a powerful
criticism.
message of
She's
hope
known for being
and
elegant,
perseverance.
but some felt she didn't have that
Especially for
energy, that
Africa.
command.
She
you
called
usually see from
herself a
front
symbol
runners.
of
So
hope.
it's this balance between
really
elegance
emphasized
and
how
like
she has fought for
owning the stage,
not only herself,
especially
but
in
for
swimwear.
Africa.
Were the
I
judges
love that.
split
It's
on
really
this, or were there
powerful.
specific
and I think that's where you see
critiques?
the impact of
It's a great
representation.
question.
Yeah.
It could be
You know,
that
she's not
judges
just
have
speaking
different
for herself.
tastes.
She's using
Right.
her platform
What's elegant to
lift
one
up
might
others.
seem
Absolutely.
She's
I don't know,
acknowledging
too
the struggle,
subdued to
but also
another.
emphasizing
But the source,
incredible
it
strength
does
and
mention
resilience
specific
of
critiques
her
about her
content.
passerella,
Sure.
so maybe it was
Then we
also
had
about the technical
Miss Thailand
execution.
Suchata
Interesting. So we have this
Okay.
crazy competition, the judging
Her
mystery,
message was
and now
all
the
about the
swimsuit
power of
controversy.
belief and hope.
But our second
Cool.
source
And
also
she drew
mentioned something
inspiration from her
unexpected that
work
got
with
people
breast
talking.
cancer patients.
Oh, wow.
Oh, right.
Highlighting
The shoes
their
they all wore,
unwavering optimism
designed
and
by
faith
Jojo
in a
Breguys. Those
brighter
became a whole
future.
debate
That's
online.
amazing.
Wait, so some
What did you
people are
think
blaming
about
the
her
shoes.
answer? Yeah, some
Well,
fans
fans
if you
think
connect
the
this to
shoes
bigger
might have messed
picture,
with her
it
walk
touches
a
on
bit.
something universal.
Yeah.
It's important to remember,
power
though,
of a positive
Jojobro
mindset.
guys,
Yeah.
they're a big
Especially
name in
when
pageantry.
facing
They've been
adversity.
designing for Miss
instead of
Universe
shying away
contestants
from
for
difficult
years.
realities,
So it's like a he said,
Right.
she said
she's
online.
choosing to focus
Some
on
defending
the strength
Chelsea,
of the
others
human
critiquing her
spirit, which I think
swimsuit.
is
And then you have the
incredibly
Jojobro guys
inspiring.
fans backing
really
up
is.
the designer.
And then we have
a
Miss
total
Venezuela,
social media
Ileana
storm.
Marquez.
Totally.
Okay.
It shows you how
And she
passionate people
dedicated
are
her
about
potential
pageant,
win
every little
to
detail
every
gets
single
scrutinized.
woman that is
But before we get lost in all the
respect,
noise,
love,
it's important to
and
remember that
disabilities
one round
for us to be
doesn't
here tonight.
define anyone's full
Wow.
potential.
Really
Right.
powerful
We've seen it
acknowledgement
before.
Yeah.
Contestants
Struggles
who
and
don't win
triumphs
go
of
on to
women
do amazing
Absolutely.
things.
throughout
So even though
history.
this happened,
Her message
Chelsea's
is so
story
important
is definitely
because it
not
highlights
over.
that collective
This could be a
effort
stepping stone
Right.
to something
that has
even
paved
bigger.
the way for
Absolutely.
women
Her
today.
grace
Yes.
under
It's a
pressure,
reminder that
her
progress is
dedication to
built on the
advocacy,
shoulders of those who
those
came
things
before
shine
us,
through
Absolutely.
no matter
and
what.
that the fight
It feels
for
like there's a
equality
bigger
is
story here,
ongoing.
something
For sure.
beyond the stage.
It's a reminder
and the
that we're
sport.
all part
Exactly.
of something so much
And
bigger.
that's something we'll
Yeah.
explore more when we
ourselves.
come back.
But
We'll be
before
right
we
back
move
to
on
talk
to the
more about
first round
Chelsea's
of
journey
questions
and what
where
it
things
tells
got
us
even
about
more
the future
personal,
of pageantry. Stay
I want to
tuned.
ask you,
So
what
before we
stood
went to
out
break,
you
we
so
were
far?
saying how
It's
Chelsea's
fascinating to
story,
me how
it
each
doesn't end
woman
with Miss
approached the
Universe, right?
question in such a unique
Let's talk more about her
way.
advocacy,
Some
which
dove into
everyone was
personal
already
journeys,
praising even
others
before
took
the
on these
competition.
broader
Yeah,
social
it's really
issues, but it
striking
really
how much
showcases
focus
the
there's been on her
incredible
advocacy work. It's
diversity
almost
Yes.
become
of
like
experiences
the
and
main
perspectives
thing people are
among
talking
these
about.
women.
Even more
and
than
they
the
all
competition
have this platform
itself.
to
Why do
share
you think
those
that is?
stories and values with
A
the
sign
world.
of the
For
times
sure.
in
So
pageantry.
speaking of those
you know?
different perspectives,
It's not enough
let's
to just
shift
be
gears and
beautiful and
talk about the
poised anymore.
first round
People
of
want
Q&A,
more. They want to
Okay.
see
where
substance.
each woman
like
got a
commitment
different
to actually
question.
making a difference.
And
And
trust me,
Chelsea,
things got
she really
very
represents
real.
that
Oh,
change,
I can't wait
using
to
her
hear about
platform
that.
for
We'll
things
get there
she's
next
passionate
time.
about.
All right.
You know, I looked into some of
So
the
remember
organizations
how
she's
in the
been
final
involved
round,
with, and
all
one
the
that
answers
really
were
jumped
so
out was her
different?
work
Yes.
with
Well, the first
name
round
of
like really
organization
amplified
or
that.
cause.
Okay.
They're
We had
all
deep
about
dives into personal
briefly
stories,
describe
reflections
the
on the societal
organization's
values,
mission
and even
work,
some
which
insightful
is such
takes on
a crucial
leadership.
issue
So
these
right,
days.
it's like each
Oh,
question
absolutely.
just peeled back
Name
another
of
layer.
organization
Yeah.
or cause.
And you really
they're doing
got to
such
know these
important
women.
work.
Yeah.
Beyond just the
And for
stage
Chelsea to be
persona.
Right.
a part of that, it says a lot
one
about
answer
her.
that really
Do you have any
stuck with me
specific
was
examples
Miss
of what she's
Mexico
done to
Maria
support
Fernanda
them?
Beltran's
For sure.
response
She's been
to the
super active
question,
online, using her
when
social
something
media to
bad is
spread the
happening
word,
in your life.
encourage people to get involved.
What gives
and
you
she's also
power to keep
participated
going?
in
remember that one.
describe
So she could have
specific
talked
actions
about,
Chelsea
you know,
has taken
inner
to
strength
support
or
the cause.
determination.
Right. So it's not
But
just
she
posting on
shared
Instagram.
something
She's
so personal
really getting her
and
hands
vulnerable.
dirty, you know.
Yeah, you could tell
Her
it's not
mom's
about
battle with
publicity for her.
cancer.
She's genuinely
wow.
And
trying to
she
make
talked
things
about
better.
how
That's
her
got to be
mother's
inspiring to
resilience
a lot
and
of
discipline
people. Actions speak louder than
in the
words.
face of
Exactly. It
It's
makes
such
you
a
think about
difficult
pageantry
challenge.
differently.
Yeah.
Like in
is
the
what
past,
inspires her to keep
winning
going.
and just doing your Miss
It's
Universe
interesting how she
duties, that
connected
was
her
enough.
own personal
But now there's
experience
this
to something that we all
expectation
grapple
that
with,
contestants are
which
going to
is, you know,
use
finding
their
the strength
platform to
to
actually change
face
things, leave a
adversity.
mark
Yes,
that
and you can just
lasts.
feel the
It's like
depth of her
pageantry
emotion.
evolving with
When
society's
she was
values,
talking
right?
about her mother.
People want
It
role
wasn't just
models
about winning
who are
the
not
crown.
just
Right.
It was
beautiful
about
and successful, but who also
sharing
have a
this
purpose,
story that clearly
who
meant
use their
so much
influence
to
for
her.
good.
Yeah.
In
And
that
honoring
way,
her mother's
Chelsea's already
strength.
won.
And by
no
sharing
matter what
something so
happened to Miss
vulnerable,
Universe.
she
That's such a
created
good
real
point.
connection
She's changing what
with
it
the
means to be a
audience.
successful
Absolutely.
pageant contestant.
It's definitely a different approach.
showing that real
Yeah.
impact
than
isn't
Miss
just about a
Denmark's
crown.
answer. To the question,
What do you think is next for her?
how would
Do
you
think
live
she'll
your
keep
life
focusing
differently
on advocacy?
if you knew nobody
Knowing
would
her
judge you?
passion and seeing what she's already
So her
done.
response was
I
much
think so.
more
Yeah.
like
She's built this
pragmatic.
platform.
Okay.
She's found her
She focused
voice,
on learning from
and
mistakes
she clearly wants to
and the
make
importance of
positive
staying
change.
positive.
Gotcha.
This whole experience.
She even said, we
maybe
learn
it's
from
even
our
helped her
mistakes.
figure
Yeah.
out
we
her
learn
path,
every day. We learn
you know,
something new.
Opened
We
up
got
new
to take that.
opportunities for her to fight.
We
got
got to take that and bring it to the future.
That's
I think
And
so
that's
too.
why I live
Maybe she'll even
each
start
day
her
by
own
each
foundation
day.
or something, building
I
on the
just
work
gotta
she's
stay
already
positive.
doing.
That's
It's
cool.
exciting
I think
to think about
comparing
the
those two
possibilities.
answers is so
I completely
interesting.
agree.
You
She's
have
got the
Miss
drive,
Mexico leaning
the
into
platform,
like
and the
vulnerability
heart to
and
make a real
emotional
difference.
honesty.
It'll
Yes.
be interesting to
And
see
then
how
you
she
have
uses
Miss
this
Denmark
experience
going
moving
for this more
So
like
we've talked
stoic
about the unexpected
problem-solving
results,
approach,
fan
Exactly.
reactions,
which I
all
think
the online
highlights how
controversies.
differently we all
And now
cope with
about
challenges,
Chelsea's
and that there's no
amazing
one
advocacy
right
work.
way to face them.
I feel like we've
Right.
covered
It
a
shows
lot,
that there's
don't you?
no
Yeah, we've
one
gone
way to
through
be
a
a
lot.
strong woman. Looking at all
Exactly.
sides of Chelsea's
strength can
Miss
be found in
Universe journey.
vulnerability.
Yeah,
What do you
just as
think
much
is
as
the
it can be
biggest
found in
takeaway from all
resilience.
of this?
for sure.
I think for me,
and then there's
it's
Miss Thailand's
realizing
answer
that
about
success
leadership.
isn't
When
always
asked,
straightforward.
What
It's not just about
qualities
reaching a
must
specific
someone
goal, like
have
winning
to
a
be a
crown.
truly successful leader for
Sometimes
you?
it's about
Yeah.
handling
Her
challenges
answer was
gracefully,
so
speaking up for what
simple,
you believe in,
but
and
so
inspiring
profound.
people along
What
the way.
was it?
Couldn't have put it better myself.
Wow.
It's a great
And I think
reminder
that's where
that
it gets really
setbacks,
relevant
they can
for
actually help us
all of
grow,
us.
Yeah.
Not
lead
just
us in
someone
new
competing
directions
to be
that
Miss
ultimately
Universe.
shape our
Her
purpose
whole
and our
argument was that
impact.
empathy
And it's
is
important to
essential
remember that
for
everyone
any
has
leader.
their own
Yeah.
story,
because
a
it
journey
allows
that
you to
goes
connect with
beyond
people.
one event.
Right.
understand
Chelsea's
their
Miss
needs, and
Universe
genuinely
experience,
care
it's just
about
one
their
chapter in a
well-being.
much
I think
bigger
it's really
story that's
interesting
still being
because
written.
it's a
A
quality
story
that's
about
often
resilience,
overlooked.
determination,
And
and how we
using your
traditionally
for
defined
good.
leadership.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, we always
Even
talk
without
about
the
charisma
crown,
and,
she's
like,
already a role
making quick
model for so
decisions,
many
strategic
people,
thinking.
inspiring
But
them
she's
with her
suggesting
grace,
that true
her advocacy,
leadership
and her
needs this
spirit.
emotional
And speaking of
intelligence
Absolutely.
inspiration,
and
I think
the
it's
ability
important to acknowledge
connect
all
with
the
others
support
on a
Chelsea
human
has
level.
received
100%.
from fans around the world.
And she even took it a step
Even with the
further,
disappointment and the
arguing
online
that
debates,
empathy
there's been
isn't just
so much
important
love
for
and
leaders.
encouragement
Okay.
for
It's
her.
essential for everybody.
It's amazing to
She
see
said,
that
I
kind of
believe
support.
that
It
everyone
really
in this
shows the
world
power
needs
of
to have
community,
empathy among each
especially
other.
online.
That's
And
how
it
we can
reminds us
unite.
that social
that's
media can be
great.
a
Such a
good thing
powerful
too.
message.
Yeah, sure, it can
about
amplify
connection
negativity and
and
drama,
understanding.
but it
It's
can
a
also
call for
bring people
compassion and
together and
understanding.
create
Yes.
a sense of
Recognizing
support.
that we're all
Absolutely.
connected.
We have the
Yes.
power
And
to
to build a
choose
better
what we
world,
focus
we
on,
need to start with
what we
fostering
amplify,
empathy
Yes.
and
and
what kind of
recognizing
online
that
world
shared
we want to be a
humanity
part
that
of.
binds
So
us
let's
all.
choose to celebrate
What
the
did you think about
positive, the stories that
Nigeria's
inspire us,
response
Oh, yeah.
and the people who are using
to the
their
question,
platforms to
what
make
is
a
more
difference.
important, being liked
Chelsea's
or being
journey is a
respected,
perfect
and
example
why?
of that.
Yeah.
I think that's a wonderful thought.
And she
to keep
asked
in
for the
mind.
question to
Now,
be
before we
repeated,
wrap up this
which I
deep
found
dive,
interesting.
one
Okay.
last and
And then
maybe
she said,
surprising thought.
I feel like it's
You know,
being
it's
respected.
funny. We were talking about the Jojo
We live in a
Burgai shoes
society
and
where
how
we often
some
don't
people
feel
thought they held
respected because
Chelsea
of
back.
who we are.
But
And I feel
what
like
if
when you
we
respect
looked at it from a
yourself,
design
you respect
perspective?
others around
that's
you.
interesting.
Yeah.
And
It's
respect
easy
is
to get
really
caught up in the
That's
competition.
such a great answer.
And
And that
forget
moment
about
where
the artistry
she
and skill
hesitated
involved
and
in
asked for
designing
the
something
question
like
to be
pageant shoes.
repeated.
Yeah, I
think
love
that's
a good
fascinating
fashion
because it
deep
felt
dive.
like she was really like wrestling with the
So tell me,
complexity of
what
the
are some of the
question,
design
which
challenges
is
when it
great.
comes to shoes,
You know, it shows
specifically
she's
for
thinking
pageants?
critically.
Well, think about it.
And not just
They have to
giving
be
someone her
glamorous, right? They've got to look
soundbite.
amazing with those
And
elaborate
her
gowns
final
and stage
answer really
outfits.
emphasized
But they also have to be
self-respect
comfortable
Right.
enough to
as
wear
the
for
foundation
hours
Yeah.
under all
for
that
respecting
pressure
others.
and with
Absolutely.
everyone
And then
watching.
finally we have
Right, and all those
Miss
movements,
Venezuela,
the passerella, the
who was
shoes have
asked
to work with
to
that
describe
too.
the ideal
Exactly.
woman
It's not
of
just about a
today
pretty
Yeah.
heel.
and what she has in
JoJo
common with her.
guys,
Okay.
with their
And instead of
experience
listing,
designing
like,
for Miss
qualities
Universe
or
all these
traits,
years,
Yeah.
they must have
She
considered
really
all
spoke
that.
about unity.
So instead of
and
judging the
breaking down
shoes as
barriers.
good or
Wow.
bad,
She
maybe
said
we
it
can
was
look at their
sharing
design
and
choices,
celebrating all the
the materials they
127
used, the
women
heel
who
height,
were here
the
on
overall
stage,
look they were going
leaving
for.
behind
Yeah,
the
I get it. It
barriers,
shifts the
leaving
focus
behind
away
the
from
differences,
blame
and
and towards
uniting,
appreciating the design
giving a
process,
message to
all
the
the
world
thought
of
that goes
respect,
into making
love,
shoes that
and
work for a
unity.
pageant.
Exactly. It's a chance
'Cause
to
that's how the world
recognize
is
the
built.
art
I
and the
love that.
technical
I thought it
skill
was so
that
inspiring.
often
What were
gets
your thoughts?
overlooked.
I thought it was really insightful.
And who knows, maybe this
because
whole thing
she
will get people
shifted the
talking more
focus
about
from
fashion and
individual
pageantry in general.
characteristics
Right.
to the
How much should the
collective power
designer's
of
vision
women
matter
supporting and
versus the
celebrating each
contestant's
other.
own style?
It wasn't about
How can we make
what
sure
makes
the
one
shoes
woman
help,
ideal.
not
Right.
It
hurt
was about
the performance?
recognizing
Those
the
are some great
strength
questions
Yeah.
that comes from
It really
diversity
shows
and
how
inclusion.
even something like
100%.
It was a
shoes
really
can
beautiful
spark
message
so many
about
different
coming
conversations.
together
And it reminds us that
building a
even in a
world where
pageant,
all
there's
women can
always
thrive
more
and
than
support
meets
each
the
other.
eye.
Absolutely. It's been a
So
fascinating
there you have
journey
it. A look at
unpacking
the
all
Miss
these
Universe
layers of this Miss
2024
Universe
Q&A,
competition. I hope our
where
listeners have enjoyed
these
exploring
incredible
all these
women
different viewpoints with
shared their
I know I
stories,
have.
their values,
From the
Yeah.
unexpected
their visions
outcome
for
to
the
the
future,
online
and
buzz
really
and all the
proved
deeper
that
thoughts
this
about
competition is
advocacy
about
and
so
even
much
design.
more
This
Yeah.
deep
than
dive
just
has
what
been
meets the
full of
eye.
surprises.
It really highlights
and
how
Chelsea's
these
story,
competitions are evolving.
it's just getting
Yeah.
started.
You know, they're
I can't wait
giving
to see
women
what she
a
accomplishes and the
platform,
impact
right,
she's going
to
to make.
speak
Me
their
too.
minds
She's an
and to
inspiration,
inspire others.
showing us the power of
100%.
resilience, grace.
On that
and
note,
using
I
your
want to
voice
leave
for
you with
good.
something
Well,
to think
that wraps
about.
up our deep dive
What
into
makes
Chelsea
a
Manalo's
message
Miss
truly
Universe
powerful for
journey.
you?
Until
Yeah.
next
Which of
time,
these
keep
answers
on diving
resonated
deep,
most with
everyone.
you,
And remember,
and why
there's
I
always
think,
something interesting
these
to discover
conversations
when
are
you
just
look
the beginning.
beyond the
Yeah.
surface.
They spark reflection, they encourage dialogue, and hopefully they inspire a positive change.
Absolutely.
So thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
Thanks for having me,